I want a new dog show. I like the new show.
You want it
I gave you
after
my
that
man.
or before that?
I believe it, but I don't like I like coffee, extreme black coffee.
No telling.
That's what you're saying.
If you want it before the meeting,
I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of Franklin City Council to order. I'd like for everyone to please silence your cell phone and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance.
Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I guess we're all happy that the hurricane did what it did or didn't do anything significantly. So it's good to have everybody out here. For Citizens Time, we didn't have anyone sign up for Citizens Time. Do I have any amendments to the agenda? If not, we'll go into the consent section of the date, which is the approval of the August 22nd closed session. We'll take that one first. Any corrections or additions to those meeting minutes?
The first paragraph, Councilman William Copeland, Councilwoman.
Okay. We'll make sure we change that.
Please do.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
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 And aye. That motion carries. And when of declaration of local emergency for Hurricane Dorian, Ms. Jarrett?
Yes, we did declare a state of emergency prior to the arrival of Hurricane Dorian, as we were not sure at that point in time what, if any, damage that the city of Franklin may experience, and so this now needs to be adopted by City Council.
Okay. Everybody understands what it's all about?
Explain that to me. Since we didn't get hit, why do we need to adopt the resolution?
Well, because we had I declared a state of emergency in advance of the storm, as is normal practice, so the formal adoption is via you all. So yeah, we didn't experience any damage, but we still need to complete the process. So I declared the state of emergency, and you all need to complete the process by adopting it.
Understand?
I understood what she said.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to?
So moved.
I have a
Second. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Aye.
And aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We have a retiree recognition. Vice Mayor, please.
Resolution of appreciation to Courtney L. Blunt. Whereas Courtney L. Blunt has faithfully served the city of Franklin beginning on September 27, 1991, and ending his service on June 1, 2019, as supervisor of the Water and Sewer Utility Repair Crew for the Public Works Department, and whereas Courtney L. Blunt diligently delivered safe and quality workmanship as lead employee for the Public Works Department on call group as a backup, including his 24 years of on-call duty. He also responded to emergencies such as inclement weather, floods, snow, and hurricanes. And whereas Courtney L. Blunt has provided guidance and exhibited wisdom through his position with the Public Works Department, and whereas his prudent judgment and warm personal demeanor have facilitated many accomplishments and have earned for him the respect of the community and his peers. And whereas the City of Franklin commends Courtney L. Blunt for his generous and devoted service to the city and wishes him well in all of his future endeavors. Now therefore be it resolved that the City that the Franklin City Council honors the exceptional service of Courtney L. Blunt. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting of the Franklin City Council and as visible evidence of the high esteem in which this council and the citizens of the city of Franklin hold Courtney L. Blunt, thereby forever preserving and recording its gratitude. Adopted August 12, 2019, and signed by Mayor Frank Rabel.
Okay. We have that. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I think the date at the back had been changed. It should be September the 9th.
We'll change that.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to change it
Yep.
on the form, okay? All right. All those in favor of adopting said resolution signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
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 And aye. And I would ask Courtney if he would please join me and council up front. Again, from a city perspective, we're very fortunate and blessed to have people like Courtney, who have been a long-time servant of the city, and we thank him as well as the other staff and members of our work crew that gets out and makes sure that everything stays appropriately clean. So thank you all very much, and thank you again, Courtney. All right, we have a presentation of the Southeastern Virginia Health System, Franklin Community Health Center. Ms. Jarrett, you want to tee that one up for us?
Yes, I'd like to recognize Ms. Williams and ask her to come to the podium. I've placed at your seats the annual report for the Southeastern Virginia Health System. This is a follow-up to our town hall meeting. Ms. Williams spoke that evening, and it was suggested that she come to a council meeting and talk about the services that they provide so that the citizens that are watching the meeting tonight on the cable channel or later on the YouTube channel can have a better understanding of all that they have available to them in our community. So I'd like to thank Ms. Williams for being here and give her a few minutes to give a presentation and then answer any questions that you may have.
Greetings, City Manager, City Council, and all assembled this evening. My name is Shelby Williams, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Southeastern Virginia Health System, and we have a medical center right here in your community. The medical center is Franklin Community Health Center, located on Armory Drive in the Armory Shopping Center. Within Franklin Community Health Center, we have board-certified providers. These providers will see everybody. It does not matter whether you're insured, uninsured, or underinsured. All patients are welcome. And that's one thing that we wanted to share with the community. No patient is left behind at Franklin Community Health Center. Within our facility, we have on-site lab, so you do not have to go to an outside lab to receive your lab work, to have your lab work done. We can actually do your lab work on-site. We have health educators, so if your physician diagnosed you with a certain medical condition and you need education on your condition, We have healthcare educators that will sit down with you and talk to you and explain to you the ins and outs about your condition. Pharmacy assistant program. We have a pharmacy assistance program, so if there's a patient who cannot afford their medications, we have workers that will sit down with you and help you to find ways, avenues to make your prescriptions and your costs more affordable. Also, to help you with the cost of your services, your medical services, there's a sliding fee program. This sliding fee program is a program also to help patients who are unable to pay for the cost of their medical care. We're trying to help patients to receive affordable health care. So, like I said, no patient is left behind. That was the reason why the sliding fee program was designed. As far as appointments for new patients or established patients, you do not have to wait for an appointment. We can actually schedule you within a week, whether you're new or established. We also have an outreach team. This outreach team goes out into the community. So if there's an organization here who would like our outreach team to come out, set up a table to bring awareness to Franklin Community Health Center, we'll be more than happy to attend your event. Last thing I want to mention is dental services. So, like I said, we provide medical care, but we also provide dental care. Dental services are not in Franklin. If you need a dental appointment, we do have a dental office as close to Suffolk, which is Main Street Physicians. So if you need a dental appointment, we can schedule your dental appointment in Suffolk at Main Street Physicians. So the main thing, just wanted to let everyone know that you have a healthcare facility with board-certified physicians who will see everyone, no patient left behind, here in Franklin, right here in your community. I wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me to return, and if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Williams?
Is this at no cost?
No, we're not a free clinic. We have a sliding fee program for those who cannot afford the services. But if you have health insurance, if you do have health insurance, we will bill your insurance just like any other medical center. So, but we do have a sliding fee program for those who cannot afford the services, but we are not a free clinic.
Okay. Other questions? Ms. Williams, thank you for coming, and thanks for what y'all are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing on the proposed bond issue. Before we open that public hearing, I'll turn it over to Ms. Jarrett to give us a little history background.
Sure, thank you. As you all know, we have been working towards this since April. We have had Davenport, and I'd like to recognize David Rose and Kyle and thank them again for being with us this evening for our work session. But there's a number of capital projects that have been deferred for years that this financing allows us to accomplish those projects at a lower cost to the citizens and still have those things done. They've worked hard to issue an RFP. The proposals have come back and have been discussed at length with you all on a number of occasions. And so tonight's public hearing is to receive any public comment. At the conclusion of the public hearing, action will be needed on the resolution to approve that if you wish to proceed with the financing, and then we'll also approve the schedule for the restructuring of our existing debt, as also has been discussed at length. And otherwise, I would defer to Mr. Rose. I'm not sure if you want him to hit any of the highlights of the previous presentation or not.
I will give him that opportunity if Mr. Rose would like that opportunity. I think we've all had ample opportunity on it, so thank you. Having said that, then I will open the public hearing on the proposed bond issue. Is anyone who would like to speak on the proposed bond issue? Is there anyone who would like to speak on the proposed bond issue? Going for the third and final time, is there anyone who would like to speak on the proposed bond issue? All right. Are we ready? Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
I move the resolution providing for the issuance, sale, and award of the general obligation notes and bond series 2019 of the City of Franklin, Virginia, and providing for the form, details, and payment thereof as evidenced with the resolution that we've been presented.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion in a couple seconds. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, since you didn't have an opportunity for council after there was no part of the public hearing, usually the council will have a chance to speak after the public hearing has completed, but we didn't have that tonight for whatever reason.
Because we're having it right now, the opportunity, the motion was made by...
Yeah, well, before
so
you
we're ready
make a
to go.
motion, you asked, is there any council discussion on a public hearing?
You've got the opportunity right now, Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
just do your stuff right, that's all. I have issue with the terms and the circumstances revolving this acquisition of new money, as well as the fact that we are already in $11 million worth of debt here in the city of Franklin, and to take on another $8 million worth of debt, part of it being restructuring of a debt, and it's not, we are unsure if this restructuring is going to save us any money, according to our financial advisors. They cannot tell us that we will save any money by doing this restructuring. The only thing guaranteed is that people are going to get paid for convincing this council to accept this money. I also have issues with the fact that out of 50 banks that were approached nationally, there were only 2 banks, possibly 3, that were willing to do this deal. With my limited financial experience, I still believe if this was a good deal for the banks, banks are in the business of making money. If this was a good deal for the banks, out of asking 50 banks to do the deal, more than 3 would have said, yeah, we'll do the deal. We'd like to do the deal. So with those concerns in mind, I cannot in good conscience, representing my constituents, agree to take on an additional $8 million worth of debt at this time, knowing we're going to have to increase it and borrow more money for the potential courthouse, because that's not included in this resolution. So I just feel like our city is taking on more than we can chew, and we're holding the responsibility to our future council people and our citizens' future to have to pay off this debt. That's all I want to say.
Any other comments? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving said resolution signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Aye.
And aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we will entertain a motion to move forward with the proposed schedule for restructuring.
I make a motion to move forward with the schedule of restructuring.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
And aye. Motion carries. Thank you all very much for your work. I know we'll be seeing more of y'all down the road. So thank y'all. And thank council.
Thank you.
Okay. Old and new business, Ms. Jarrett?
So the first item is a courthouse update. As we discussed at our last meeting, Southampton County did approve the issuance of their RFP without us having the ability to see that in advance. I did send the Southampton County Administrator and asked him to share with the Board of Supervisors a letter outlining our disappointment and them taking that step without our approval on the front end. So the information in the staff report was sent to you from me via email, but again, for the purpose of public discussion, I wanted to have it on the agenda tonight because there are a few action items needed from the council. So the RFP by Southampton County was issued, and the public notices were in the paper on Sunday, September 1st. The RFP allows for comments to be received by the Franklin City Council prior to September 24th, and so that's why this went out to you in your agenda package, so you would have some time to read it. So if there are any comments from City Council that we would like to send back to the county, we need to do so by September 24th. The RFP also provides that the Franklin City Council will evaluate all of the proposals and interview jointly with the Board of Supervisors any firms that are selected for an interview. They're going to forward to my attention, and then I'll forward it all to you, all of the responses to the RFP by October 4th. We'll need to review those, fill out our score sheets, or you will need to fill out your score sheets, and then we'll need to have a joint meeting with the Southampton County Board of Supervisors to go over those score sheets and decide who, if anyone, that you'd like to interview. So interviews would then occur that week of November 6th to the 13th, again, subject to everyone's availability, and then we would go on from there. So the first thing we need to do is to decide if you all are available either October 29th or October 30th to have a joint meeting with the County Board of Supervisors. And at that meeting, again, you will have already received the RFP responses, you will have filled out your score sheets, and then we will have a joint meeting of the two bodies to discuss who you would like to interview, if you would like to go through with the interview process. So typically, when you're selecting firms for professional services, you have the request for proposals, you have a matrix where you score those responses, and then you decide who, if anyone, that you want to interview. Typically, interviews, especially for a project of this size and scale, are conducted. So at that meeting that we have with them, either on October 29th or the 30th, we will need to decide, okay, who do we want to interview jointly, agree on a date and time for those interviews, and then discuss who would have the authority from either body to negotiate the final terms of any agreement. So that's what we would be doing at that October meeting. So if you all can look at your calendars and let me know whether October 29th or the 30th works for you, then I will contact Mr. Johnson and we'll discuss a venue and a start time. Are there any questions on that piece?
Yes, so the soonest we would be able to get in front of them would be October 29th or 30th.
So they issued the RFP. I mean, we can request a meeting prior to
Because
then if you'd like to.
I mean, what is going to happen between, what are they going to do, because we're on such a tight time schedule based, or they are on such a tight time schedule based on what the judge told them to do?
Sure.
What is going to happen in the next 2 months, because that's almost 2 months?
So the RFPs were just issued on September 1st, and they're not due back until October 4th. So that 30-day period is where all of the firms are reviewing the requirements laid out in the RFP and are putting together their proposals. So those will be turned into the county on October 4th. I will send them to all of you as well as the score sheet. And so the time between October 4th and the 29th or 30th is when you'll be scoring all of the responses. So if the council's desires to try to review those documents and score them and meet earlier than that last week in October, I'm certainly happy to make that request.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, seems like to me we ought to meet prior to that date, so we get on the same page before we go meet with
I
Southampton.
think that's a good suggestion, that we get it on the 4th, and we try to have ours graded within the next 2 weeks anyway, when you say, and then for us to meet and do
I
that.
would think that the meeting would be more productive if we had a meeting to talk about your scoring prior to us having a joint meeting with them.
Yeah.
And you only have, as a reminder, one meeting in October due to the Columbus Day holiday. So we could certainly schedule something that same week that you would typically meet. That would give you like 9 days to
Which I
read
think-
the proposals and score them. Like say we met on October 15th.
How many proposals would you estimate that they will get?
It
3,
depends.
4?
I mean, you would hope for 3 to 4.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many they received the last time.
okay.
Now, you mentioned something about comments from council in regards, those comments that would be in regards to what?
So the request for proposal allows for input from Franklin City Council, but we would have to get that back to the county by September 24th.
And would that be a collective council comment or the individual council people's comment?
They're
comment?
asking for official comment back from the city, so I would suggest that if individual council members did have comments, that if they all could all come to me as a vehicle, I could send them in one document.
And we can discuss it at our 23rd meeting. We have a meeting on the 23rd, and that would give us time to review it on the Friday updates.
Yes.
If you could give everybody's response, so we could all catalog them and decide how we want to approach it. Okay?
Okay.
So we will have a 23rd meeting.
We do, yes, sir. So we, in September, meet twice. So you have your meeting tonight, and then you meet on September 23rd. Comments are due back to the County Board of Supervisors by the 24th. So this gives you all 2 weeks to review the RFP extensively, share with each other and me any comments that you might have. We can discuss it again at the meeting on the 23rd, and I can send a letter first thing in the morning on the
I think
24th.
just to make sure we're in proper form with FOIA, it's probably a better idea for us to funnel individually to you, and then you forward them to us.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay? So in that way, we don't get into any type
Right.
of communication thing. Right, electronic meetings, okay?
So I will tentatively schedule us to meet on October 15th, if that date works for everyone. And that the purpose of that meeting would be for us to have our advanced discussion of the RFP responses.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, October 15th.
I don't think go ahead with it, unless you hear any objections. Okay?
And then is there a preference for the 29th or the 30th with Southampton County?
I'm good either.
I'm good either.
I'm good
Either
either.
one.
I'm good either.
I think
Okay.
Whatever.
we can make, yeah, that's far enough out, I think
Sure.
we should be able to make.
So I will communicate with them that either one of those 2 dates works for us.
Okay?
Okay, so with regards to, are there any other questions on the county's project? Sorry, it's 2 major projects, so I'm trying to make sure we talk about each of them separately. So any other questions on the county's project?
Did they give any indication as to why they rushed to get that done today and didn't include us? Did they say any kind of reason, or just say we'll do better in the future?
I've received no response to my letter.
Okay. All right, moving
Okay,
on with the next.
so with regards to the City of Franklin Courthouse, I had a meeting with the sheriff and his lead staff with regards to the operational concerns that were shared with us, and we've obtained an estimate for a walk-through metal detector, which is the exact same model that they have at the county's courthouse, and that estimate was for $4,000 to purchase a walk-through metal detector. I've contacted several companies that make the scanners, and I haven't received a formal estimate back, but when I do, I will share that with you all. So I need your authorization for me to proceed with the purchase of the metal detector. So typically with this dollar amount, it's within the spending limits of the manager, but there's no courthouse budget for me to move money within and to purchase this. So I would need your authorization for us to proceed with purchasing a walk-through metal detector. As we've discussed, currently there is no walk-through metal detector at our facility. We only wand individuals, and so this would help us show in good faith, add that additional level of security at our courthouse to have the walk-through metal detector. I wanted to also make sure that because it's the Southampton County Sheriff's Office that provides security at our courthouse, that it's the same model so that they would be familiar with it. We wouldn't have any personnel issues. The other operational concerns that were expressed by the judges were shared with the Sheriff's Office so that they can follow up on those with their staff. And then we have drafted an RFP. We're still reviewing it, and that will be shared with you in your Friday update, and then it'll be on the agenda on the 23rd for you to approve us to go ahead and issue that. And that would be specific to the City of Franklin Courthouse.
Is this metal detector, is it portable or is it stationary?
So we would be able to move it if there were any construction projects or something that we had to do in our lobby, which I don't foresee us doing any specific modifications to our lobby. We could just move it.
Was there concern about, do I recall concern about the security of the court when it was not in session? Are we going to have somebody here all the time? Or just when they're in session?
So per the guidelines, you're supposed to have security even when court's not in session. We're not at that point yet. I've talked to the sheriff's office about that. We're going to need to get to that point because you're supposed to be scanned anytime you enter that court building, whether court's in session or not. And that's one of the operational concerns that was shared, was that there's no security personnel at the facility when court's not in session. So that's a problem that eventually we're going to have to address.
Which is going to be budgetary.
Yes, sir.
We need to, and I know it's come up in the past, we're going to have to provide the same type of scanning for the clerk of courts as well, correct?
So
So if indeed we do, we might consider, rather than having to purchase two sets of scanners, one for the front of the building, one for the back, we might consider creating an entrance on the side where when you go in, you could either go through one scanner, you could either go to the right to go to the clerk of court's office in the back, or to the left to go to the regular courts. But one point of entry that we could scan everybody for both parts. 'Cause
Yes, sir.
We talking about the bulletproof glass and everything for the clerk of courts.
yes. So you're exactly right. So we need to get to a point eventually, and I'm only recommending we purchase the one metal detector at this point in time, because we're going to get to a point where we only have the one point of entry as you describe. And that's what staff has looked at the layout of the building. We've analyzed the requirements of the Supreme Court guidelines. If we were to add a corridor to the side of our building, as you describe, you come into the lobby, you either proceed straight ahead to head into the court building, or you go down the corridor to go to the clerk's office. Yes, sir. Then that should meet our tests. So eventually we'll have the one point of entry for everyone from the public coming into the building, but that we're going to need a corridor down the side of the building to accomplish that. So in theory, yes, we should purchase two today, but my recommendation is to purchase one for now, because we know we're proceeding with a much larger project. Yes, sir. This shows good faith. This shows us moving in the right direction to make our courthouse safe and secure, but we're only spending the money that we need to spend, and it's not going to be wasteful spending because we have this larger project that we know has to happen.
Other questions, comments? Let's while we're there, let's go ahead and call for a question on that, okay?
Yes, I would
Is that-
like your authorization
Yeah.
to spend the $4,000 to
Okay.
procure a walk-through metal detector, one walk-through metal detector.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Do we know what bucket we're going to pull it from? Because we don't have a budget item?
It's not appropriated to me to spend.
We don't have any savings anywhere, we don't have any city council.
Discretion.
does it make sense to use that rather than using our fund balance, which we're trying to protect? Right.
Other
That
questions?
Iowa White Reserve, as Ms. Spence just described, you all put a limitation on that it could only be spent at city council's approval.
Right.
I think it looks better for us if we say where it's going to come from rather than coming out of the fund balance and then having it close and bump the fund balance back up. I think it looks better if we,
That's fine.
so,
Especially at this time when we're
Yeah.
trying to do the refinancing
Right.
and the
Yeah.
bonds.
so I would say let's do it out of the reserve.
Out of the reserve? Okay. Okay.
Then you need to amend the motion.
Well, all we need to do right now, because we have a motion, we can make a second motion that money would come out of the reserve. The motion didn't say where it was going to be funded from,
So why not just amend the
So-
motion, so it's one motion, one vote?
because I'm in charge right now. Okay? So any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve the walk-through metal detector.
We had the motion in second, I think, already, didn't
We had a second.
we?
Yeah,
we did have-
We had a motion in second.
All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
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 And aye. Now I'll entertain a motion that those funds to fund that come from the reserves.
Move that we use our reserves from Isle of Wight to fund the $4,000 for the metal detectors.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
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 And aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, so next, city manager's report. We do need some closure or additional direction from you all regarding the rental inspection committee. I brought this up at our meeting 2 weeks ago. You all appointed a committee to analyze whether or not we needed a rental inspection program in the city of Franklin. The committee did not feel like it was necessary at this time to move forward with that program, and so staff is just seeking direction from council on how to proceed. So at this point in time, we would not proceed based on the recommendation from the committee, and I just want to validate that with you all because previously it had been one of your goals. So just want some feedback on that from you all.
Okay. Opportunity for feedback. I
Can
mean, we
you
appoint-
give any reasons as to why not to proceed?
Sure. So the committee was a broad cross-section of individuals, landlords, tenants. It involved numerous agencies. They felt like that we were not fully utilizing our existing tools and existing ordinances that are available to us enough. We need to explore those avenues first prior to creating an additional program with additional expense that may require additional personnel. They felt like that there were tools in place today that could be utilized to require individuals to maintain their properties to a certain level prior to imposing these additional regulations and restrictions and personnel potentially. That was their reasoning.
I would probably agree with that as long as we're going to hold accountability on our departments to do so.
I would agree.
If we're not going to hold them accountable to do what we already have, they're not going to do what we would put into a rental inspection program either. So let's get those done and see if we have an impact.
Well, I think when we started talking about this, we had a different person at the head, so city manager.
Yeah.
Well, since we appointed a committee, do we need to decommission that committee or?
Let me take a look at that.
Okay,
and answer
if we
that.
need to do that, I think you look into that and see exactly what we need to do. We'll put it on the agenda for the 23rd meeting, okay? But I think you've got the consensus.
Yes, sir.
Would it make sense maybe not to decommission and let's see what this increased awareness of the existing things and see if we get the
Well-
desired result over a period of time?
Yeah.
and then
Well,
come
all
back
she's
in?
going to do is tell us what needs to be done to decommission, and we don't have to do that. I mean, that's just, so have it on the agenda to formalize one way or the other what we do with it, okay? Is that Okay.
So just a few other quick items, if I may. We, after our last meeting, requested the Planning Commission to provide us with dates so we could have a joint work session to talk about the ordinances that were not approved at the last meeting. And so they've provided us the dates of September 26th, October 3rd, and October 10th. That's a lot to throw at you tonight, so what I'll do, and I just received these today, I'll put these in my Friday email. If you all could respond back and let me know which dates work best for you all. And that would be to walk through the ordinances in greater detail that we discussed at our last meeting and decide whether or not we want to proceed with them or not.
I personally would rather have it before another meeting between now, I don't know about Mr. Burgess, and October 15th. It's a hectic time. It's like,
It's hectic.
So
Mr.
before
Burgess can
September
probably do it.
23rd, you would like to have it before September 23rd?
Or after October
Or after
15th,
October 15th?
Right.
Okay.
That'd be better.
where I could really do a little bit more studying on it.
City employees are going to be volunteering for the United Way Day of Caring on Friday, September 13th, in 2 shifts from 9 to 12, and then again from 1 to 4. So if any of the council members would like to join us in volunteering, just let me know. I can follow up again with you all with additional details tomorrow so that you can check your calendars.
Okay.
This weekend, I did receive a number of complaints about Verizon cell service in the city of Franklin, and I did, for the purposes of the public, want to notify everyone that the building permit for the Verizon tower has been issued, and they anticipate having that tower operational in November. So we wanted to provide that update to everyone as well. The RFP for legal services that was issued, those responses are due back September 12th at 2 p.m. So soon, when I receive those, I will distribute them for you all with a matrix so you can score them. We'll need to have a meeting, which we'll be meeting lots in the next few weeks for you all to discuss those. And then the superintendent asked me to invite you to neighborhood meet and greets that the superintendent, the principals, and her key staff are going to be conducting. So they'll be in Dorchester on September 16th from 5 to 6:30. They'll be in Berkeley September 17th from 5 to 6:30, and then in Pretlow Gardens September 18th, again from 5 to 6:30. These dates will be put in an update to you, but the superintendent asks that you all attend as you're able. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions for me.
Any questions for Ms. Terry? Okay. If not, we'll go to council report on boards and commissions. Anybody have anything?
Someone coming, but not here yet.
Okay.
There's reports for the Housing Authority Commission, but I think we're scheduled to discuss that in closed session as it pertains to some personnel.
Okay. I do think we had a very successful conclusion to the Weeby Jammin', and we also had a beautiful day on Saturday for the closeout of the cruise-in. And thanks to all of those sponsors and volunteers that made that a huge success, as well as our Weeby Jammin'. I think the market on Main is still running on Wednesdays and just on Saturdays now through the middle of November. So please get out and support those things. I think we had a successful back-to-school programs, so that was good. Good convocation, good first day back. Thanks for all those who came out to welcome the students back. So I think that was very successful. I will now entertain a motion to go into closed session.
The entire motion is not on there.
It's on us.
I think it went on to the back page.
I don't have a back.
There you go. There you go. I have.
I move that the Franklin City Council meet in closed session to discuss appointments to boards and commissions, to discuss a prospective business or industry or the expansion of existing business or industry, where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. Discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body regarding specific legal matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, A1, 3, 5, and 8.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye.
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 And aye. We are in closed session. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a good evening.